Can we talk about the attendance side, like how each church represented here, like counts? Because it's different for every church.
Right.
Like, how do you count attendance, say, for a live stream, as an example?
I'm a big believer in just going behind the scenes into the analytics, but how are y'all doing it?
Well,
I look at
analytics, or I'll say, because we're just going to join on even analytics. Facebook only gives you have to watch 3 seconds or more. Yeah. You can't really go by 3 seconds or more. So I don't know is my answer.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I know Facebook inflates those numbers so much sometimes, and it's kind of weird. I just look at how many people I've got, and I just kind of keep an eye on it throughout the stream and everything, especially if we're doing it live, how many people are watching it live, and I add up that one for a specific live one. And then I go back and watch and see again, if we got it, and I kind of add those numbers together, kind of mix it a little bit to see exactly roughly what we've got.
Yeah, we track unique viewers or unique basically IP address connections. So in Google Analytics, but so in that sense, we're looking at unique visitors to the pages that are relevant. So we have two technically, like a regular and mobile. But anyway, and then we also have a way to basically look at people who are viewing through the app. But we basically take that same number, so it's unique. I call them households because that's really what they are.
Right.
In fact, there's a multiplier that some churches use. It's like right now they say about 1.5. It's kind of the modern multiplier. What I mean by that is that you're not probably broadcasting to one person in every situation. Some people are gathered around a computer or even like a TV. If you have like a TV app, or maybe they're casting, airplaying or something to a TV. And so you might have sometimes you have 10 people in a room. And so there's some churches that have actually done that measurement of how many are watching with you. And if you want to look at a multiplier, like 1.5 seems to be about commonly accepted. We don't use a multiplier for us. We just count the connections, kind of always have. We also don't get super in the weeds of how long did people watch, because the average probably is 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, that's just is what it is. So any pastor, even if you saw 5 minutes, don't panic. I mean, that's normal. You're going to have some people who are just checking you out. They click on for a few minutes, they click off. That's not your entire church. Okay. That's just part of the digital world. So be okay with some of those kinds of things. On Facebook, we actually do use the 10-second view. It's basically what you do there is you have to stop, audio up, and watch. And all the other numbers are massively inflated.
Right.
The second number feels like the most reasonable way. Peak viewers never really felt right to me because, again, you got some people who show up late. You got some people who leave early. Peak, I don't know. It's not a true count. I mean, it doesn't feel like, I'll say it this way. It doesn't feel like that's a good thing to measure. It's a good thing to monitor. And the most important thing about managing statistics is to keep it consistent. So however you decide to count from the beginning, just do that exact. So for 10 years, we've looked at IP addresses exactly the same way. And so all you want to know is growth, right? Health. What's the signal? Are we up? Are we down? Are we signaling health? Are we signaling something wrong?
Right.
And then pay attention to the signal. So you can count whatever you want, even hits, 1 million people. Well, you didn't have 1 million people, but you can look at a number like that. And as long as that's the only number you look at and you keep tracking that consistently, at least you'll know up, down, week over week, month over month, year over year.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing is, cause normally we don't track it, as far as compared to this church or that church. We track ours compared to our church last week online. Are we growing? We're not, but I guess the big question is we're expecting all those people who were in person to join us online. Should we have a number that we should be expecting of ourselves? What percentage growth do we feel like that's a win? And how do we come up with that number, or do we just monitor it and say, do we feel good about it?
Here's what's crazy, dude. There already is a baseline number for that emerged from churches last week.
Okay.
And the baseline is that common, and this is not super sciencey, but churches, or what I'm hearing is that it's 5 to 6x. So 500 to 600% increase in engagement, right away. That was really common. A lot of churches, it was 4x. A couple of churches were 8, 10x. That's awesome. But it seemed like most churches And really for our like online attendance versus in person, I mean, it's probably like a fifth. And so that's about what we saw, is that we probably saw like a 4.5% increase first week. And so like that, so 4.5% for 4.5x, so 450% increase. So from the Sunday before to now all online was what we saw. So they're actually, it's crazy. Week one, there's already technically a baseline. So I'm interested to see how it goes Sunday. Yeah, see how it goes this Sunday, next Sunday, and it's it's a benchmark. I don't what does it mean?
Yeah, but it helps us. It does help our churches see. All right, there's some churches that are able to get that 5-6x. If we're down in the 2x, then we really need to start reevaluating some stuff.
Well, yeah, you have to read everything into it, and part of it is what was your percentage of online engagement before? So if you were 1 out of 100, well then, and then all 100 people come on, well that's 10,000% engagement increase. But if you're if you had 50% of your church was already engaged online, then you wouldn't have a huge bump because you had a lot of massive online attendance before. It just kind of on average, churches seem to be like for every 5 people in person or 5 people in person, 1's online and 4 in person for every 5.
Right.
Attending. So this is it's just a benchmark. It's really all it is. Something to consider.
So I think at the end of the day with this one is kind of measure the same way. If you've been doing it, look at that and look at the increase or decrease. Or if you're starting for the first time this week, let this week be your baseline and measure everything going forward from here. And then the other thing is, remember, the Facebook numbers lie to you. And
all of them. There's no accurate way to do it. But
right. But just understand that while it might say you had 3,000 people this week, that may not be completely true, but that's your baseline, and kind of go from there.